Welcome, everybody. My name is Caroline Colas, and I am the Senior Director of Health and Wellness at the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan. Today on our Positive Psychology Hour, a series that we have been doing throughout the entire pandemic with Whole Being Institute, we welcome back to the show Jude Treder Wolf. She's going to be talking to us about improv for well-being in uncertain times. The word improv actually comes from the Latin word improvias. Am I saying that right, Jude?
Improvises.
Improvises, there we go, which means unforeseen or unexpected. And the pandemic has been everything unexpected, wouldn't you say? Improv is an art form and a philosophy that offers a mind and skill set that can strengthen our capacity to manage the unexpected, maximize the good, and remain grounded in our well-being in the face of uncertainty. And with the Delta variant, we are facing uncertainty yet again. Improv skills help us deal with the familiar and the unfamiliar and provide a pathway for managing difficult life transitions and psychological struggles. So today, Jude is going to demonstrate with her players improv techniques that focus the mind, generate positive emotions, galvanize creativity, and are a lot of fun. I want to tell you a little bit about Jude so that you know who's directing the show today. She is a creative arts therapist turned storyteller, writer, performer, singer, songwriter, and improviser who is active in the New York storytelling scene. She books shows, workshops, and keynotes all around the country, and she was recently featured on Mistakes We Were Made, Risk, live shows and podcasts, Storyfest at the People's Improv Theater, Now You're Talking, the Armando Diaz Experience, Talk Therapy, Singling, Modified New York Story Exchange, and many, many, many others. Welcome to the show, Jude. And I have to say that she has done improv not only for my birthday party, but for my sisters as well during the pandemic. And we had a blast. Jude, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Caroline. I'm so glad to be back here. And yeah, I'm just thrilled and can't wait to jump in. And one of the most thrilling things, of course, it's always fun to see you. It's fun to be part of this whole thing, but that the improvisers that are joining us today have been improvising and learning over the entire pandemic online. So we're going to get to see some of what they've, been playing with. I was going to say working with, but it's a different way of thinking. So
yeah, and I just wanted to know briefly how you got involved in positive psychology. And
okay, well, positive psychology was something on my own I was always interested in. I had read the book Flow. I had read the book, read about Barbara Fredrickson's work well before I met our dear friend Phoebe Atkinson. And then Phoebe and I knew Phoebe, we were in the same psychodrama circles, we were in the same creative arts therapy circles. And then she started showing up at my applied improv trainings. And we would have lunch and dinner, and we began to really see the Venn diagram that is the positive psychology principles and what applied improv is all about. And that middle ground where they interlap is how I got excited about applying improv in the positive psychology space. It was really through my friendship with Phoebe, if you come down to it.
Yeah, and what's interesting is I remember taking a class with you, Phoebe, and Tal Ben-Shahar.
Yes. That was an amazing class at the Magnet Training Center.
Yes, and that was in person, but now you've done it online, and I can't wait to meet the players and to hear and see what you're going to do. Now, the audience, I should just warn them, you guys are going to have a chance to be involved today. So in the chat first, and then at the end, if there's time, we may even ask a few of you to come up and improv with the players as well. I'm going to unspot myself and let you take it away.
Thank you so much. And by the way, if there's any interaction among you guys, it's going to be totally safe and fun, and nobody's putting anybody on the spot. Those of us that are on the spot kind of want to be on the spot today because there's a fun part of being in your discomfort zone, but we've elected that, the improvisers. You guys are going to be playing through the chat and giving suggestions that the players are going to be putting into action. Just to set up this idea about well-being and improv, I want to tell you a very short true story to set the tone here of some of the concepts that we're working with. I grew up in a very, very small town in central Wisconsin on a farm, and I was the third youngest of 8 kids. So there was a lot of organized chaos in our very small house. My dad was a mechanic and a farmer, and we had many, many rules, and also a religious family, because that was the only way to make meals happen, to make anything happen in this very crowded house with all these people. You could sometimes figure out what the rules were by watching other people. Sometimes the rules outside our house were a little bit different, but there was church, there was school, we knew how to behave, we knew what to do by watching other people. And rules were very important because you want to get it right. And that's the world we were in. And my sister, who's 2 years younger, and I were a team. I could speak, she was extremely shy. So if we went to buy ice cream or something, we'd watch other people, see how they ordered, and we would order ice cream, but I would say it and she would tell me what she wanted. And by that we were a team, and then we would go home and we would laugh about everything together. But I knew that she was extremely afraid of adults and just of surprises and unexpected things. And I always felt very protective of her because of that. And I was still afraid of things, but having her as my little teammate, I could, in protecting her, I could stand up for the both of us. And that gave me energy and strength. And then also we would get ice cream or something if I said something. So my parents had a wedding anniversary party where we were going to go to the one restaurant in our town that was a real sit-down restaurant, what we called a fancy restaurant. And we, at this point, I'm 10 years old. I have never been in a restaurant. I've never been in a restaurant where you look at a menu and select a meal that's just for you. That's what you want, not a meal that it was made for everybody, something you yourself get to eat, the whole thing yourself. And my sister and I was so anxious about this. One, we were super excited. There was going to be all these relatives and people there, and we're all dressed up. But also, we're thinking, how do you sit in a restaurant like that? How do you move around? Do you talk quietly? In movies, everyone's smoking and being very elegant, and we didn't know what to expect. And we're very anxious. But at the same time, you get to pick the one thing that you want to eat off this menu that supposedly is amazing. So we get there, and there's this long table, not a round table, but a long rectangular table, and all these family members are there, and it's very loud and like a church hall. And we're reading the menu, and it says things like pan-fried sea bass in a bed of white rice, a grilled or tenderloin tips from an Angus beef from North Dakota. Very detailed, elegant descriptions of each of the items of food. And there's so many of them. So the waitress comes over and I order something, and then she looks at my sister, and my sister's just poring over this menu, and she says, I don't know what I want. And I say, get the tenderloin tips from the Angus beef. And she's like, no, that might not be the right thing. And she's poring over the menu. So the waitress goes all around this table, takes orders from absolutely everyone, comes back to my sister, who I know cannot speak to adults. And I say, just tell me what you want, and I will tell them, just tell me what you want. And she's like, no, I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to say it myself. And she gets up, takes a breath, and she looks at the waitress, and she says, I'll have the roasted breast of a young tom turkey. And the whole table just burst into laughter, because they never heard a child say the roasted breast of a young tom turkey. And I see this look on my sister's face, this look of absolute horror. And I think, no, nobody laughed. She just thinks, she doesn't mean to be funny. It wasn't funny. Now she's embarrassed, and she'll never say another thing in public again. And everybody's laughing, and she's looking at me, and I can see she's about to cry because she doesn't know why this is funny. And the roar of laughter goes down just a little bit. And there's a lady sitting at a table adjacent of us. And when things calm down just for a second, she says to the waitress, I'll have the roasted breast of a young tom turkey. And then her husband says, I was thinking about having the roasted breast of a young tom turkey, but I think I'm going to have the tenderloin tips. And my sister feels like she's okay. She didn't do something so weird and out of range. And we talked about it afterward. And I never forgot that woman that was sitting next to us. And I thought, when I learned about improv, I thought that lady was doing what every improviser does when they get up on stage or in a class and try to create something in real time with other people. She was kind, she was generous, she was supported somebody who was on the spot. She saw somebody floundering and she made it okay, and she made it good. So all of those, the noticing, the observing, the generosity of spirit, those qualities are what make improvisers successful. And they make it possible for improvisers to go into an empty space without a set, without props, without a script or a director in that moment, and take an idea or a series of ideas and tell stories together. You have to be radically supportive of the other people. And if somebody says something like the roasted breast of young Tom Turkey, that's the best thing you ever heard. Well, this kind of principles of how people treat each other, this is what produces well-being. And we can even be in a state of crisis. We can be in a state of grief. We can be in a state of uncertainty that borders on extreme fear. And we can tap, even if it's for a few moments, that ability to be in well-being, where we're expressing love, our intelligence, some positive emotion, whether that's just connection to another human being. And from that, as Carolyn said when we were opening, and you guys have learned from all the positive psychology stuff, that expands our field of awareness and makes it possible for us to notice more things. So we're going to do some improv games and exercises that draw on this human experience of authenticity, of inspiration, of tapping the creative self in very simple ways. And we're grateful for you guys watching, for giving us some ideas to play with. So right now I'd like to introduce my improvisers, and let's just bring them on stage, and they'll just give us a wave. Everybody, so guys, how do we do this, Caroline? How do we get the 4 improvisers on?
I can spotlight them.
Okay, so we're all spotlighted.
Let me do that right now. This is Fran.
There's Fran. Fran, give us a wave. There's Fran. Great, thank you. Can we add, and we have Carrie. Carrie, give us a wave. Great. And next is Christine. Christine, give us a wave. Great. And Bill. There's Bill. Give us a wave. Great. So our first exercise is going to be a word association exercise. And the principle that we're working with is being able to trust our intuition and our inspiration by following ideas that come to us and sharing things about ourselves, to be authentic and just a little bit vulnerable, meaning I'm going to tell you something about myself that I didn't intend to tell you 3 seconds ago because I didn't know that this idea was going to come to me. So for this, all we need is for people in the group to put some words in the chat. Put words in the chat, and I'm going to pull a word, and I'm going to assign that word to one of our players. So let's have some words from the chat. Please put words in the chat. Any word at all,
Do you want
guys.
a verb, or do you want a noun, or
Just
apple?
a word, words, just words.
Apple, pizza, calm, California.
I'm going to take
silly.
California, and I'm going to give California to Christine.
Oh, California. California reminds me of my Aunt Margie, which reminds me of Centerport, because she used to live there before she lived in California. And Centerport reminds me of ducks. One time when I was about 2 years old, I was in Centerport with my Aunt Margie, and we had some bread to feed the ducks. And I was so excited about this, according to her, that I went running right up to the pond, and there were these big white ducks with long necks that I had never seen before. And I was saying, here, ducky, ducky, here, ducky, ducky. And I was dropping the bread, and the big white ducks that weren't ducks, but were swans, began to climb out of the water and proceed to want to attack because I was holding a bag of bread that they wanted. So Aunt Margie from the background was yelling, Christine, drop the bread, drop the bread. And I did not want to drop the bread. So I hesitated until they started coming really close, and I dropped the bread, to which they converged on top of it. And I ran away into the safety of Aunt Margie's arms.
Thank you for that story. Okay, everybody listening, I want you to pull a word from Christine's story. Any word at all, pull words from Christine's story and put a word in the chat. We need a word from her story.
Bread, bread, bread.
The word is bread, and I'm giving that word to Fran.
Bread. I guess bread reminds me of Panera bread, because I'm fascinated with all the different kinds of breads that they have there. I don't really eat bread as much as I used to eat it, but as a kid growing up, bread could be the game stopper of Sunday dinner. So Sunday morning, I lived in Brooklyn, and we would get up and we would go to the Pastosa, which was a big deal because, we lived in the projects. We didn't have a lot of money. So if you would go to the Pastosa, you would go in with your grandma because she had a little more money, and we were getting all the stuff you needed for Sunday dinner. And so we would go home, and my grandmother would teach me how to make meatballs. And I just loved the whole idea of like the whole family coming over and creating Sunday dinner. And then this one Sunday dinner, we went to the Pastosa, business as usual, got everything that we were supposed to get. So excited, cousins coming over, everybody's coming over. We cook all day. The whole house smells like sauce. The whole hallway in the project smells like sauce. And we sit down to eat. And the first thing my grandfather says is, "Where's the bread?" And I immediately panicked because I was sent to get the bread and was distracted. And I got distracted by a little boy who was crying. And I was like 11, and I guess he was about 7. And and this is the story of my life, I got into his story. So I just started getting into his story and listening to his story. He couldn't find his mom. So we're walking around the Pastosa, and I finally find his mom, and she's so grateful. And I'm so proud. I mean, I'm 11. Look at me. I'm a hero already. And I go back to my grandmother, and I go back to the card, and I never brought the bread. And the most amazing thing happened, even though when my grandmother said, "Where's the bread?" everything got really quiet, and I panicked. And my grandmother looked at me, and then she looked at her husband, my grandfather, and she said, "I took you off bread. You put on some pounds." And then dinner started.
And scene. Thank you for that story. I took you off bread. That's a great scene. So let's pull a word from Fran's story. Let's hear a word. The word is distracted. I'm going to give that word to Bill, to inspire Bill. Bill, unmute.
Here we go. Distracted. Well, distracted is something that I could say it reminds me of now, feeling a little distracted. And let's see, now reminds me of being in the moment. And let's see, being in the moment reminds me of being mindful. And mindfulness is something that I've been working on for a long time. I find that it's very helpful, and to bring it right back to improv, it connects wonderfully to improv. It's helped me, I think, tremendously. And let's see. I mean, I noticed that I do have just that increased ability to kind of direct my attention to the moment. And that's helped me so much. I mean, just recently in one of our improv sessions with Jude, I distinctly remember a moment when Jude had just got done telling us about Alan Alda and how he really communicates with people in general, I think. And he really, really, really tries to focus and connect with that moment. What are they saying at that moment? And leave everything aside. And so I was doing this exercise, right? And for some amazingly, I don't know, something clicked in the back of my head and said, or reminded me to do that. And I was able to do that at that moment. And it was nice. It made the exercise more enjoyable. And I don't know, I felt good about it.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for mentioning Alan Alda. Yes, thank you. He does this great work on communication using improv. So let's pull a word from Bill's story. The word is, we're going to give the word hero to, oh wait, is that the word? That might be from Bill's story. The word from, I'll give Carrie, your word is exercise.
Exercise reminds me of that I used to be an exercise instructor back a long, long time ago. And that reminds me that I have an injury and I haven't been able to exercise. And that reminds me that life goes on when you don't get to do what you normally do. And that reminds me of the pandemic we're in and how a lot of us are not able to do what we normally are able to do. And that reminds me of the fact that at the beginning of the pandemic, I was the gal tuning into this program with my video off, terrified to ask a live question, really admiring the people who did. And now I am, not only have I been able to ask questions on Zoom and participate, I've got my video on, and I'm in the presentation troupe. So that's what exercise reminded me of. Thank you.
That's full circle. Oh my goodness, because that's how Carrie got involved in all this, was watching one of these. So thank you all. So guys, thank you for your inspiration and for listening. So that close listening, pulling inspiration and ideas from other people, that's one of the cornerstones of improv, being alive and dynamic and about right now, as everybody here mentioned. Because when we're in the right now, we are less attached to the traumas of the past or the struggles of the present or the worry about the future. When we're in that right now moment and we're grabbing something that's happening and playing with it, that kind of engagement and attention is well-being. We can find it in that space. And if we can just expand that space 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes even if you're in an improv class for an hour and have those creative juices flowing, that can translate into feeling better throughout the day or having a galvanized energy to deal with things throughout the day. All right, we're going to jump into our next exercise, and then we can get a conversation going perhaps with people in the group, but we want to get into another active exercise. So for this exercise, what will happen is this. Our players will, I'll have them come up in pairs. I think, do you guys all have a camera cover? Can you just cover your camera? Okay, so everybody will cover their cameras. And I'm gonna, and what we're gonna do is this. I'm gonna say two people's names. Say, don't do it right now, but I'll say Bill and Carrie, for example. Bill and Carrie are, you know what, it's better if we turn the cameras off, I realize, because this way we could see those two people up.
I can also unspotlight them.
But we want those two people to be, okay, unspotlight the other two players as well as me. And then you can just hear my voice.
Remove.
Yeah.
I'll just remove.
All right. So guys, so everybody watching, this is what's going to happen. I'll call out two players. Those two players will turn their cameras on, and I mean, one at a time. Sorry, this starts with one. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. So for example, we're going to, Bill, you could turn your camera off for a moment, or one at a time, and and you're going to strike a pose and turn your camera on. And everybody watching, I want you to write in the chat what you think this character is doing. Where are they? What are they doing?
So Jude, our first player is Bill.
Sure, let's have Bill.
Okay.
So
I'm
Bill,
going to
strike a
spotlight
pose.
him.
Strike
Wait
a
one
pose right
second.
now. Well, he can strike the pose and hold on to it, and then.
I don't think so. Hang on. We have to be able to see him. I'm not able to spotlight him if he's not on the camera. Okay, go Bill.
Oh, he has to turn his camera on. I got you. Okay, Bill, turn your camera on. Sorry.
There
Great.
he is.
Everybody, perfect. So Bill, hold it. So guys, put in the chat, what is this person doing? Who is he? Put it in the chat, and Bill, we're going to pick one, and he's going to do a monologue based on who he is. Okay. Keep going. One more. Let's see. He's a peeping Tom. He is a spy detective. I'm going to pull two of these ideas. He is a spy detective that is hiding in the bushes. Go, Bill. Do a brief monologue.
We got him, Joe. Yeah, I'm right on top of it. Yeah, I see it. No, wait a minute. Why is that camel walking? Wait a minute. Somebody else is behind the camel. Hey, get Bob. Get him to zero in on that. You know, I don't like the looks of this. It looks like they're carrying something towards that tent. Yeah, I think, yeah. No. Oh, wait a minute. I see. Oh, don't forget about it. Just a bunch of tourists, that's all. Now I see the kids in the camera coming out from behind the camel. Don't worry about it. Okay, but we'll stay on it. Okay?
Great. See, thank you,
open.
Bill. Thank you. I love the commitment to the hand. Okay, so let's have, so Caroline, do we need to say the person first and then?
Yes.
Okay.
Say the person first.
So Fran, strike a pose, and then she's going to turn your camera, and then she's going to spotlight you. Fran, strike a pose. Okay, hold it. Guys, what is happening here? Who is she and what is happening for her? We're waiting, Fran. Okay, add some things. We have surprised. Keep going. Let's see if you can get her even more in a real situation. That bathing suit looks terrible on you, Mom. Go. That's your line, Fran.
Okay, so Mom, that bathing suit looks terrible on you, but hear me out. It's honestly, Mom, I know that you miss Nana, but I don't even know, like, what is that, Mom? Like, I know it's her bathing suit, but she was like born in 1901. And I just feel a little bit embarrassed, not about you, Mom, because you're my mom, but I cannot go to Splish Splash with you wearing that, because I don't want to get into a fight, number one, because if somebody says something, and they will, and I just think, you've lost a lot of weight, and where you found the cap that matched is amazing. Absolutely. But that's more like for like the backyard, like the backyard. So you don't have to change, but we're not going to Splish Splash.
See, thank you, Fran. Oh, what a loving daughter. Okay, so Christine, get your pose ready, and Caroline's going to spotlight you. Same deal. Okay, she's ready. What is happening here? What is happening, guys? Yes, yes, let's get real specific. Okay, well, that's a good first line. Let's keep going. Maybe we can add some. Your child just broke something very valuable and did something to your garden. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
I'm doing it. Okay. It's okay. Don't cry. Don't. It's fine. It's fine. I didn't need that Limoges piece that I've been planting heirloom tomatoes in for 42 years. I did, you know, I was getting tired of it. I mean, you know what? It's sometimes you gotta let go of the past. And even though that belonged to every female in our family at one time since 1743, I think that it's time to move on. I need to be more present in life. Anyway, so let's just pick up the pieces carefully, and maybe some glue will work.
Oh, thank you, Scene. Oh, what a loving mom this is. Thank you.
That was good.
Yes. Okay, so Carrie, strike a pose, and you're going to get spotlighted. So get your pose on. What is happening, guys? What is happening here? We're waiting for chats. Deep sea diving, meeting a new species.
Oh my God, face yoga.
You're muted. Are you muted?
This is something that I've never seen before. We are at the brink of discovering a new underwater species. It's blue and brindled and large. It seems to have ears, a mouth. It seems to be, the mouth seems to be growing. This is very interesting. I don't have anything, there's nothing in the literature about this. What could it be? Should we be swimming away?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you, Carrie. Thank you. Okay, so Caroline, spotlight me real quick, and then I'll talk to the group about the next step. So wonderful work, everybody. Oh, am I muted? No. Am I? No. I see something in the middle.
You're
Okay.
good. You're good.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. So this is the drawing inspiration from a physical movement. You could play this game with kids for hours. They will go. If you're in a car, you can do this game. You can do this with each other. And it is generating from a physical movement and also from somebody saying, this is what you're doing. And that hard commitment makes it so much fun to see what grows from it. We're going to jump into a related exercise, and then we may have the improviser share a little bit about the process if you're interested in that. So in this one, we'll have 2 players up. Caroline, we may have to just, I don't know, gallery mode. How would we do that? 2 players up?
Yeah. No, I can spotlight them.
Okay, we'll spotlight 2 people. I'll say their names, who they are. Each strike a pose before you go on. And then everybody watching, you're going to decide what is happening in these scenes. What are these 2 people involved in? And we're going to pull something from the chat and they're going to play that scene. And these are short scenes. They're just inspired by the movement, the commitment, and then what you guys, your perception of it. So the first 2 players will be Fran and Bill. So Fran and Bill, Fran strike a pose, Bill strike a pose, take a beat, and Caroline put them both up.
Okay. let me take this spotlight off. And then I just need 1 second. Where's Fran? Where'd you go? 1 second. Sorry. Oh,
It's
there
good,
you are, Fran.
Hold it, Bill. Keep it. Keep your pose, Bill. It's good. It's very good. It'll inspire us. Great. Great. Okay. Perfect. Hold it, guys. Okay, now let's see what is happening here. What are these two? They are together in some activity. They are together doing something. Okay, there's one idea. Oh my God, they're watching their spouses. No, I don't want to do that one, but it's a sad one, but it's a fun. They started out bird watching, but they've just discovered seeing someone have an affair.
Oh my, geez. What, Fran?
I can't stop looking.
Did you bring the camera?
Okay, first of all, I can't. Are you going to tell the husband? Because I'm not.
No,
Oh,
I'm not.
oh,
I'm not. I don't want to get into that.
Put
No
your head
way.
down. Put your hand
No
down.
way.
They're looking.
It's another day.
All
That's
right.
all.
We need to talk about this. I don't care if I ever see another friggin' bird again. That was amazing. We caught her and we're going to tell.
You really think that's a good idea? I don't know.
Yes. All of a sudden, now we're all getting milk delivered like the old days. It had nothing to do with milk. She got us all signed on board because he's the boyfriend.
Yeah, but there are neighbors. I don't want to upset their lives. I tell you what. Also, why don't we leave an anonymous note or something like that? Just like anonymously do it.
I'm curious of why you would want to protect someone who's having an affair, Bill.
And scene. The plot thickens. Okay, so now so Christine, strike a pose right now, and Carrie, strike a pose right now. Get ready. And Caroline is going to spotlight you, and we will see there's Christine and Carrie. And then Caroline's working on it. There we go. What is happening in this scene, guys? They're together, as we said, and they have a relationship. Oh my gosh, I'm going to take the first one. Was just proposed to and saying talk to the hand. That means Christine did the proposing, I guess.
Whoa, this is really a shock.
But we talked about this like a million times, and you initiated 999,000 of those conversations. I don't get this.
Well, I don't mean to hurt your feelings or anything. I mean, I'm a little socially awkward. We haven't really done this in person yet.
999,000 conversations, or maybe begging for this. I'm confused.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're a real nice guy and everything. I just, thousands of conversations, via meetyourmatch.com, it's just, can't we have a couple of in-person dates first?
Yes, we can. Should I bring the ring?
And scene. Oh my gosh. Okay, Caroline, could you put me back up? I want to ask my players, if we could do a short game that we didn't actually plan, but we've done it many times in different classes, where the audience is going to give you a starting emotion and an ending emotion. And you're just going to have maybe a minute or so to play that scene to get from one emotion to the other emotion. Are you guys up for that? I'm seeing you nod. You've done it before. We've done it together.
Are you asking us to improvise?
I am asking you to improvise. Great.
Putting
So
us on the
what we'll have is we will have in this scene, we will have Fran and Christine. And let's get from the audience a starting emotion for both of them. You're going to be two peas in a pod. You both feel the same way about something. Let's just get a starting emotion. The starting emotion is going to be, well, let's do, okay, I see some that are, we'll start with excitement, and we're going to go from excitement to, keep going. I just want to find something that's to excitement to frustration. Let's say excitement to frustration. And please give us in the chat a relationship for these two people. Sisters, you're sisters. You're starting with excitement. At some point, you're going to find a common moment where you can shift into frustration. And all you are, and just so start with your excitement about something, and let that something be where you are and what you're doing.
I cannot believe you are getting married. And I'm going to be your maid of honor. We have been talking about this forever.
All right, calm down. You're my only sister, so of course you're maid of honor. I couldn't wait to ask you. I couldn't, because I knew that you were like, will she, won't she? Even though you're the only person I would think of.
Oh, but
So I'm excited.
Yeah,
And I really like him. I mean, I want to love him, but I like him a lot.
It'll grow. And you know, it's really okay that I've been dating Bob for 7 years, and we're completely in love for 7 years, and you're gonna get engaged now, or you know, even though you're not totally in love. And he's not in love with you.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I think he does love me in his, like, his own way, but we're very, very, very compatible. And we don't, you know, I mean, 7-year itch, like, we weren't going to do that. Why hasn't he proposed? I'm just asking.
I don't freaking know.
Do you want me to ask?
Yes.
All right, I have
do.
no problem with that. Thank God. I mean, it's time.
But
We could have a double wedding.
I always wanted my own wedding. I don't want to
And
share.
scene. I think we're there. I love that. You know what was wonderful? If you could just thank you guys. I just want to see, you could spotlight me, or I could just say this to them. So guys watching, so what was lovely about that as an improv scene, but it's also lovely in life, is that we knew they were going from a really super positive emotion to a less positive emotion. They were going to a place of difficulty, but they didn't do it by fighting with each other. They didn't do it by getting into a struggle with each other. There was some truth that was revealed. Oh, you're getting married first. Yeah. Well, I'm not waiting around 7 years. want me to help you get married? So maybe we can do it together. So there was a great moment-to-moment decision-making as they're going through a scene like that to arrive somewhere. And it's very unusual in improv that you actually have an end game. We usually don't have a decided end game like that, but for an exercise, it's a lovely way to frame how will we do that without getting into a fight or without throwing each other under the bus. They did it by really supporting each other, and that made the scene very interesting and engaging to watch. So let's have Bill and Carrie up, and let's start with an emotion for them. Let's give a starting. We do have a bunch of emotions in here. I love this. Disgustedly ambivalent. That's so specific. It's a specific kind of ambivalence. Disgustedly ambivalent to let me see what other emotions we have in here. You can throw in more emotions if you like, guys. Disgusting.
I love suspicious.
Yeah.
Too suspicious. Okay. So, and let's give them a relationship, and the relationship is, I'm not able to see my new messages. Oh, you know what? Let's go from disgustingly ambivalent to love struck. There's just a bigger arc from disgustingly ambivalent to love struck. And the two of you are professor student. Go. You can take me off, Carolyn. Great. Disgustedly ambivalent.
Yeah.
Professor, I don't know. I kind of want to take your class again, but
You want
next.
to take my class?
But I mean, I kind of wanted to take the advanced class.
The advanced class? Why? Why would you do something like that? I have so much that I could give you, so much I could teach you. I don't think you're ready. No, you're not ready. You're not ready for this.
But can you just pass me? Because I showed up for class.
There's something about this. Carrie, have you ever had this kind of a conversation with another professor?
No, but the thing is, okay, I'm gonna just tell you the truth, okay? It's not because I don't want to take your class again. It's just that
Yes.
it conflicts with this other class that I wanted to take. That's really the only reason.
This other class, yeah. I know that you're a part-time student and you're only taking one other class. I don't see the possibility that you could not work this out. I'm not seeing it, not feeling it. There's something a little odd here.
I just feel a little embarrassed that I came to your office hours so often. I mean,
well, what are you saying here now? Wait a minute. So you started off by telling me that you wanted to go to the advanced class, and I was just going to pass you and just move you on. Now you're telling me something a little different here. What are you up to?
what are you up to?
I'm just trying to be the best teacher I can be. I mean, really, I wouldn't want you to, draw the wrong conclusions here.
Yeah, you do. You got to get there in 30 seconds, guys.
Well, you have something in the cards here hidden. I don't know what it is.
I have something in the cards. And this game is coming to a conclusion in 10 minutes in your office.
Whoa.
Whoa. Well, Barbara, could you cancel my next appointment?
Okay, so Caroline, how about if you put all of the improvisers and myself on screen, and let's see. Oh my gosh, there were just so many fun suggestions from the chat. I loved it. So guys, I'd like to hear. Only Christine is spotlighted right now. So
Yeah.
Okay, great. I know. I'm just going to keep talking because I know we only have 7 minutes left. So I threw that game at you, that last one, that exercise which we've done before, which is, it's a little unusual, as I said, in improv to have an end game, but to have the players beat by beat build on each other's ideas in ways that you don't know, that you can't see coming. That is part of the fun. And it's part of the discovery process that we were all part of. So I wondered if you just want to share, and we're very short on time, but I would love to hear from each of you what that was like to improvise here today, and how this relates to your real life experiences. Learning to be an improviser translates to real life experiences for each of you. How about Christine can go first, and then I'll.
Yeah, so, well, that was so much fun. And, you know, I love my classes with Jude, and we took a couple weeks off in the summer. So this is like my jump start again, which is wonderful. It's the yes and, you know, it's, for me, I started improv for fun, but also for communication purposes. For when you are sort of blindsided by something somebody says or an event. And instead of that resistance, right, that makes you so tense, and to just say, okay, yes, and where am I going to go next with this, right? Can't control everything. So, you know, it just sets you on that path of less resistance, really.
Lovely. That's beautifully said. Yes, thank you. How about you, Bill?
Let's see. Well, I think if the question is what do I get out of this, or what do I like?
How do you apply it? Yeah.
How do I apply it? For me, it's just good practice to engage others in uncertainty, because I tend to be very, shy, very reserved, and so forth. So for me, just to put myself out there, right, it's a challenge for me. And it's just, I feel, it makes me feel healthy in some, I can't explain that. The healthy is just an abstraction kind of, but there's something inherently good about it, that I can do that, that I can expose myself a little bit more, and then walk away from it feeling okay, and yet at the same time, that still is a challenge for me. I'm still working on it, but I know it's a process, and I hope to get better. I feel like whether I'm good or bad at this, I'm stubborn. I'm gonna keep trying.
Well, I love what you're saying, because you're saying what you're saying is, although it is challenging and it's uncomfortable, there's something still in it for you. So that builds on our idea of well-being, right. That it's still fun, even though it's hard. It's still fun. It's always fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Bill.
100%.
And how about you, Miss Fran?
So for me, I think improv and applying it into my daily life, I run an agency, I have 26 employees. And what it's done is help me be curious to the conversations that end up happening in my office. Instead of being armored up and, ready to like do it this way, to just be curious about what they're bringing to the table, how I can yes and it while also making them look good. Right. So even if it's a difficult situation, even if it's, something that's uncomfortable, how can I, be curious about it, say yes to it, add to it, make them feel better or more connected, and then keep it moving. And I just think it improves communication and it makes it less scary, although I think they would probably be like, we're still scared, but it makes it less scary to have a conversation with your boss. If your boss is open-minded and ready to laugh with you and ready to yes and it, and, to look at things through a funhouse mirror sometimes.
Thank you so much for that specific kind of sharing. That's wonderful. Carrie.
Yeah, I want to yes and what Fran said. I'm still scared. And also what Bill said about it makes me feel healthier, because what happens is instead of having this, I'm scared and I'm nervous and I'm going to hide. It's like, I'm scared, but I'm excited and curious, and I'm going to commit to just being in the moment and seeing what comes up and paying attention to what's happening and what's being said. So there's a feeling of, oh, when I got through it and I lived through it, and even though it was a little scary, so that's invigorating and fun and makes me know that I can do it again.
Wow. I thank you so much, all of you improvisers, for sharing so eloquently about how this actually applies for you. And I want to say to the people watching, so there's the little bit of science I just want to share in 15 seconds is the amygdala in the brain that processes emotion, that it gets activated when we're fearful or when we're stressed, or when there are situations that have some degree of threat. It doesn't have to be a lot of threat, but the amygdala gets triggered. And when the amygdala is triggered and there is something good that happens, if it's a laugh, a surprise, a warm feeling, sort of what music does, the music excites us in a certain way, it releases dopamine into the brain. And dopamine tells our brain, remember this. So it enhances memory and makes us feel good at the same time. And so when we are having fun and doing something that's a little bit challenging, so that threat is activated, but then there's fun and surprise and the creativity that everybody displayed by playing today. And you guys displayed by putting things in the chat and not knowing if your idea would be the one that would be explored. And thank you. That triggers to the brain, remember this. And then we are more likely to be able to call on that strength when we are in situations of actual stress in real life. So I just wanted to share that about one of the scientific benefits. So Caroline, we are out of time, right? What do we need to do now?
What we need to do is end in gratitude. Thank you, Jude. Thank all of the players. So amazing. And what I'm struck by is I know you work with teens and kids, yeah, and how this gives them the opportunity to not only in social situations, learn the yes and make somebody else look good, take whatever's been given to them. Such important lessons. And as we, continue on and open up or mask up, whatever it is that the next phase is going to speak to us, it reminds me of what Barbara Fredrickson was talking about, which is we're unfamiliar with being around one another, right? Because we haven't done it for a while. And improv seems like the ideal way to get used to being social again, finding the yes and then adding the and. So I thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us. And thank you everybody for your fun suggestions.
Yeah, we're going to remove all the spotlights and turn it to gallery view. Anybody is welcome to unmute and thank our players and thank Jude. I hope you had a good time and learned about improv and the yes and Jude, if they would like to sign up for your classes, is there a way that they can do that?
Go to lifestage.me. That's my website. And you'll see what things we have coming up, or you can write me a message and I will send you, put you on our e-blast list, and you can see when new classes are added. We're going to have a class, Improv for Life, which is just basic, starting from scratch, that you never did this before, to things that are more advanced.
Beautiful. And we'll include that with the recording, everybody, so you don't have to feel like you have to rush around to find that. Again, they're opening for the SIP, Certificate in Positive Psychology. The next cohort is opening. So if you're interested in doing that, strongly recommend it. It's a 9-month course. There's also smaller other courses. I put a link in the chat. You get $100 off. And the Whole Being Institute gives back to the JCC, a virtual giving circle. Hope you'll consider that. I know there's some people on the call that are